I'm Bruno Grinwis. I'm a principal for interiors here in Washington region.
I'm Jay Scruggs. I'm a principal in our public corporate group, and I'm also the office director for the DC office here. So I'm an artist. When I went to college, I didn't know what I was going to do. I went in for engineering. Realized that wasn't for me. I did love art, but I knew that there was probably no career for me in art. Looked for something that kind of combined those two strengths. So I studied architecture, and what I loved about it is that it is a field that, besides being useful in making buildings and giving people a place to live, it actually helps guide society to a degree. I mean, you can influence people, you can influence how things are done, you can influence people's days, how their lives are lived through architecture.
My whole family is in the business. My mother was the head of a construction company in Paris. My father was a furniture designer and a painter. So I followed my family's path, and I've been wanting to do this since I was like 7, 8 years old, and I studied, and I came to America to continue this business. I've been in Washington for almost now 25 years.
You know, HGA does a lot of things. We're a big firm, we're a national firm, and we do just about everything that you could do from an architecture standpoint.
I called it a toy store. It's like you can choose anything to play with. You have engineers, you have lighting designers, you have architects, you have specialists for door hardware. So this is a multidiscipline firm that offers, a client comes in, they don't have to shop around for an engineering firm, for a lighting design firm, for a graphic firm. We do everything.
At the core of it, we're trying to make better places to live, better places to work, better places to play.
We finished last April Cushman headquarters in DC. So that was one of our major projects last year. So it's a very predominant client. Cushman & Wakefield is not a small real estate firm in Washington.
Another one of our favorite DC area projects is the Capital One Hall. Fascinating project. It's right on the Metro line out there in McLean and Tysons. It is a magical place. It's won quite a few awards. We're pretty proud of it. There's a number of things that go into the decision to move into DC. First off, what a great place to be, right? It's the district, it's where things happen. I think for me, the biggest thing though is that from a talent standpoint, being more centralized in DC, we have access to a lot more people. We have people that work here now solely on the promise that we're going to build a DC office. So we have access to people that we wouldn't have had access to before.
One of the other thing when Jay and I started to look at the relocation, which was almost 5 years ago actually. It was prior to COVID. So the options we had for what we're looking for, which varied between 15,000 to 20,000 square feet, we were limited in the type of buildings we could afford. And eventually the search stopped because of COVID. And also because of COVID, some buildings became available, which we didn't have this opportunity before. Also rent went down, so we could afford a little bit more space or better space. And the other thing is we also looked at the map of all the other architecture firms. The major architecture firms that are nationwide, our competitors, are not in Virginia. They're all in Washington.
It's a branding issue. If you're going to be a Washington architect, you should be a Washington architect. Yes. Woodies Building, the space that we got, has massive ceilings. It's such a beautiful building. And as an architecture firm, we're interested in the quality of the space, and the quality of the space in that building is just phenomenal.
The second floor is enormous. I mean, you don't even need to say where you are. I mean, you're going to see our space can be visible as you walk down the street. And actually, the further away you are from the building, the more obvious something's happening over there. And when you think of the Martin Luther King Library, which is right across the street, we have furniture manufacturers like Herman Miller Knoll that is right down the street. We have a bunch of vendors. We're kind of in a place where kids at lunch can go eat at an expensive, attractive bakery. They can go to an expensive restaurant. So we have a variety of places where you can do after work. And being from Paris, I tell you, I feel so excited about the idea to go to an office like this. And our clients actually now can, when we say Woodies, everybody knows. The Woodies Building is an iconic building. Washington, D.C. offers all the transit, all the food, all the venues. And so, especially if you're a young professional.
The truth is that if if you're going to do big work, you got to be in the right place. You know, if you want to have access to the right clients, you got to be in the right place. If you want to have the best talent, you got to be in the right place. And DC is the center of it.
Being in Washington, D.C., having a Washington, D.C. address is, I think, critical for companies who wants to reach nationwide, wants to reach other people in the country, because if you say I'm in Bethesda, nobody knows what Bethesda is. And honestly, for us, if you're a national firm, I think it's important that we sit in the cities in our addresses.